Welcome in, Vikings fans, to another free agency update video. Today is day 9 of free agency. It has been 9 days since the legal tampering phase began last Monday. And since the Patrick Peterson signing, the Vikings haven't done really all that much of anything. There's been a lot of rumors. There's been a lot of speculation. There's been a lot of, well, why don't we just sign a guard already? It's actually kind of funny. If you go to Twitter, follow the Minnesota Vikings official account, every time they post, there is this string of memes, all the same meme, where it's like one of those hypno circles, and all of the text is, you just really want to sign a guard, and it's the most hilarious thing ever. So if you haven't seen that yet, I would recommend going to check that out. Hopefully it works, but so far it hasn't, and that's what we're going to talk about today. We have some names on the board that we're going to discuss at what I think are the most key positions that still have some sort of void or need to be filled before the NFL draft, if possible. First, we should discuss how we were able to get to the amount of cap space that we currently have, which is a little over $10 million. That is all in thanks to Anthony Barr and his restructured contract. So we knew the Anthony Barr was going to restructure, and as of yesterday, it finally hit the books, and overthecap.com was updated. And thanks to some wizardry and some just, weird stuff going on, finding ways to get under the cap or just to clear cap space with this contract, they were able to get another $6 to $7 million in cap space freed up, and that gets us to a little over $10 million. So what they did with Anthony Barr's contract was they added a couple of void years, so he's going to be a free agent sooner. I believe after this year, he can sign with another team. There was also the conversion of his base salary into a signing bonus. That's standard practice. The weirdest one, though, was the credit claim that they used for the cap due to an insurance policy on the linebacker. So I guess, according to reporting, the injury that he sustained last year and all of the time that he missed made the Vikings eligible to claim credit against the caps. That freed up more cap space. So now here we are with a little over $10 million in salary cap space, which is a much better position than where we were at after the Patrick Peterson signing. We had about $4 million, little over $4 million, which isn't all that much, and this helps immensely. So this should get us at least one, maybe two more players in free agency, and those positions that I have up here on the board are the ones that I think that need to be addressed the most. Either we don't have a really, competent starter as of right now on the roster if we were to go into the draft, or just, it could use better filling. So these are the positions. We have $10 million of cap space, and you tell me in the comments below how you would like to spend that $10 million. Now, keep in mind, the Kyle Rudolph cut has been designated as a post-June 1st cut. So when Kyle Rudolph is off the books, that's going to free up enough money to sign the rookie class. That has been the speculation that after the draft, Vikings rookies will not be signed to their contracts until after that transaction takes place post-June 1st. So don't worry about the rookie class. How would you want to spend this $10 million on free agency? Is it one of the names on the board? Is it a name that I've missed? Because there's a lot of free agents out there, and I've only listed the ones that either are interesting or just happen to be the top ones left at their position. Guard has become very scarce, so that's concerning in and of itself. But we'll begin with the tackle position. The top 5 names on the board right now are Mitchell Schwartz, can't say his name, Russell Okung, Rick Wagner from the Green Bay Packers, Bobby Massey, and Eric Fisher. So we have 2 of the former Kansas City Chiefs tackles. Russell Okung, I think, is the most interesting, and probably, if I had to pick a name off of this list, the most likely to potentially be a candidate to sign with the Vikings. Rick Wagner, Bobby Massey, I'm not too sure about those guys, but they're one of the more intriguing names left available. And then there was a rumor that it is a possibility that the Vikings have been linked to Eric Fisher, but I have not seen anything to confirm that. Right now, it is just that, a rumor. So that is a look at the tackle position. There's potential there. If they want to punt this position to the draft, I would understand why. I don't understand what their thinking would be if they decide to punt that and not address it in the first round of the draft and decide to go with Brian O'Neill and Rashad Hill. That's a recipe for disaster, in my opinion. But I think one of these guys could be had at a lower price, depending on what the second wave of free agency here brings throughout the end of this week. Moving on to the next position, which is guard, which is, I think, one of the position, the most important position to all Vikings fans these last couple of weeks. They have been linked to Forrest Lamp by more than one account, so I could put him at the top of the list. I, myself, am not a fan of the idea of signing Forrest Lamp because I don't believe that that moves the bar up enough. This whole time we've all said, anybody's better than Dakota Dozier, but do we really want to pigeonhole ourselves into just settling for a slight improvement over him? I think we should shoot for the moon, go higher than Dakota Dozier and Forrest Lamp. That's in my opinion. Other available guards, DJ Fluker, John Miller, who was cut by the Panthers, Lance Taylor, who played 1 game for the Green Bay Packers. I honest to God had to look him up. I had no idea who he was. And Austin Blyth, the interior offensive lineman, formerly of the Rams. Austin Blyth has been a name that has been talked about since the beginning of free agency as a potential candidate to be a replacement option for Dakota Dozier at guard for the Vikings. So far, no action or movement has been made on that. He is very low on the list of available free agents in terms of ranking by PFF, which is surprising, but most of the guards are low anyway. You have to scroll for a very long time to find just the first one. As for the other ones, John Miller, DJ Fluker, I don't really know all that much about them other than that they're better than Dakota Dozier. But of course, my preface before we got to this position was that we should be better, shooting for better than just better than Dakota Dozier, if that makes sense. The next position on the list here, we have safety. This is probably the position that is most likely to be filled by a free agent signing before the NFL draft, because I myself am against probably taking a safety with our limited resources in the top 100. Remember, we've only got 3 top 100 picks. We have none in the second round and only 1 in the top 75, because after pick 14, we don't pick again until pick 78. I think taking a safety with one of those first 3 picks, given the needs that we have in the trenches, is not a good idea. We can get a veteran for cheap. Veterans for cheap that are currently available include Will Parks, Xavier Woods, Trey Boston, Malik Hooker, and Tayshaun Gibson. Will Parks and Xavier Woods have been names that have been pointed out by various reports to keep an eye on in terms of connection to the Minnesota Vikings. So don't be surprised if one of those guys ends up being the one that gets brought in and signed to take over for Anthony Harris, and then that would solidify the secondary. I think a veteran presence is probably the way to go in this situation because we did bring in Patrick Peterson, who is obviously going to start on the outside opposite of Cam Dantzler, and that will put Jeff Gladney into the nickel role. I think instead of trying to break in another rookie, throw Harrison Smith a bone, just give him a veteran sidekick out there, and any one of these guys, in my opinion, would be just fine. I don't have any problem with any of them. So that does it for the safety position. At the bottom of the screen here, you see the edge position. Some prominent familiar names still out there, but in terms of would they be a good fit for this team is debatable. So you have Jadeveon Clowney, you have Melvin Ingram, Alden Smith. Those guys, yeah, you know who they are, but if I were to make a choice, I wouldn't pick any of those. Carlos Dunlap is still my favorite. The Seahawks recently, as of today, signed Kerry Hyder, I believe is the name, another defensive end. So that looks like he's going to replace Carlos Dunlap. So Carlos Dunlap is likely not going to be retained by his former team. So I think he is a prime candidate to be the starting edge rusher opposite of Danielle Hunter. I'm on the record having said multiple times that Stephen Weatherly, DJ Wanham, and like guys like Jalen Holmes are great, rotational pieces. I don't think any one of them is ready for a complete starting role. I know people are high on DJ Wanham. I like the kid myself. I hope he transitions or develops into something really good, like an Everson Griffin replacement. Hopefully one day. But as far as starting week 1 this year, I want somebody with a little bit more experience. Stephen Weatherly has the experience, but he showed that he's probably not a competent starter last year in Carolina. So Carlos Dunlap, in my opinion, is the best choice for the edge position. So that is the rundown on the 4 positions where we currently have significant need and the players who are the best available, or just some names that have been connected to the Vikings in the past week, a few days, a few hours, what have you. So let me know what you think in the comments below. That is going to be our update for this point at free agency. I don't know if we'll do another one of these unless we sign somebody, but we are going to keep our eyes peeled to see if something happens. I think once we get to next week, the 3rd wave of free agency, you'll probably see a lot of guys sign for veteran minimums, 1-year deals, and then we'll go from there. But we're getting close to April. All of the pro days are happening in the next few weeks, so the content for this is going to shift majorly to the draft. So I think if we don't make any moves or have any or see any action in the next week and a half, likely we're probably done and we're going to focus on the NFL draft. But I think they have enough money now to get at least one of these guys or at least one of these positions fixed before then. So that's going to do it for today. Let me know what you think, and I will see you in the next one.